minutes until showtime. Three minutes. Until showtime. Two minutes until showtime. One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
"'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who'll come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter, Could it be old Saint Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name. On Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus, on Buddhists, and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join in on the conversation, it's area code 914-803-4131. That is 914-803-4131. You can also join us in the YouTube chat. Just go to liberaldanradio.com, which will bring you to the YouTube channel, and join us in the live. And you can join us in that chat. If you're watching or listening on Blog Talk Radio, just come on over there. I don't do two chats anymore. So that's the easiest way to do it. And also, if you're calling in from over there, it's the way I screen the calls as well. If you're listening after the live broadcast, you can always leave your comments, questions, concerns, etc. over on the show thread at liberaldan.com, on Twitter, on Twitter at Liberal Dan Radio on Twitter, Liberal Dan Radio on Facebook, and again here on YouTube, liberaldanradio.com. A bunch of stuff to talk about today. We did start the show with the Liberal Dan Radio holiday tradition of airing the Liberal Dan Radio night before Christmas. So usually I starting Thanksgiving, but I wanted to do the other one for a little longer. But so we'll start today's, Wednesday's, and Christmas's show with that intro as well. Then we'll go back to the other political one, but it's one that I'm proud of. And if you didn't get to hear it from the beginning, I might play it again later on in the show. But also I linked to it in the chat if you want to share that video with everyone else, if you thought it was clever, if you enjoyed it, which some people seem like they do. Got a good number of people in chat already. 9 viewers, 6 likes. Make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not done so. We are currently, I was very close when I was at Disney World. We are at 24 hours, viewer hours to go to hit 3,000 viewer hours in the last 365 days. And then for some reason, it went backwards to now we are at 84 or 87 or 83 or something watch hours remaining. Hopefully this show will get us to the point where we need to be. Maybe we'll see in the morning if we're there or not. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we'll get there. I mean, it should happen organically sooner rather than later, simply because of the fact that last year we were not doing 2 shows a week. This year we are. Last year or before this month or 2 months ago, we were only doing about maybe I had about 300 watch hours a month, and now I'm up to like 400 something a month. So we're doing well with that. We're at where we need to be for the 4,000 a month, let alone the 3,000 a month. So that's great, and y'all are doing great with that. I just haven't quite figured out exactly what counts and what doesn't, because I know some of y'all are watching a lot, and it's just for some reason it's not counting. I don't know if you can or cannot watch the same video over again. I don't know if you get credit for watching the same video over again or not. I don't know. So, did we make it to 777 subscribers? I was waiting for that, because 777 is my wedding anniversary, because we got married on July 7th, 2007. And of course, we did just get back last night from Disney World. For those of you that joined me in my short impromptu Wednesday night trip, that was rather fun. Just a little in the car via the phone, short podcast talking about stuff they wanted to talk about. One of the things I just want to reiterate that I kind of talked about last week that I think maybe some of y'all missed if you didn't join the last show was I'm just thoroughly amused over the fact that George Santos is potentially suing Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel used or bought cameos from George Santos to get George Santos to say ridiculous things for like $500. The problem is that Cameo has agreements that you sign, that you agree to, I guess, when you're using the services, basically saying that if you're gonna use the video from the creator for a commercial purpose, that's not included in the rate. The rate is only for personal purposes, which is one of the reasons why I didn't get like some silly little $100-$200 cameo and purchase it for the show and have like some celebrity talking up Liberal Dan Radio, simply because of the fact that it was because it's a commercial purpose. I wouldn't be able to pay the $100 or $200 to get that personal use. It would have then been a commercial use, and I would have had to pay a higher rate. So again, I don't know how that slipped through the cracks. I don't know if Jimmy Kimmel's staff thought that maybe this would be fair use, but I don't see how that is. So, it happens. It'll be interesting to see if a lawsuit does happen, and if he loses. But if he loses, and it's for the reason why, you know where you heard it first. And I just hit the button. For some reason, the Blog Talk Radio sounds...
It is what it is.
The Blog Talk Radio sounds are taking a lot longer to play today. There's a lot of lag. So the usefulness of the soundboard isn't doing really well. But I think we got Khalil on the phone, so let's go to Khalil first before we start talking to about some of the subjects. I'm just going to let you know, Khalil, if the lag from Blog Talk Radio is not just for the soundboard, if it's also for the phone, it'll be a short call. But anyway, hopefully it's just the soundboard and we'll be able to talk.
It is what it is.
See, there we go. It clicked it again and I got the sound twice. I didn't even click it that second time, I don't think. Anyway, so here we go. Is this Khalil? Well, I've hit the button. It's going to take a second for it to actually... Again, there's a lag in me hitting the button and for it processing the button. There we go. We got Khalil? Maybe? Hello? See, I'm either thinking that it's taking a while to let him know that I hit the button so that he knows that he can talk, or it's taking a while so he can know that so that the system recognizes that, okay, he can talk, or maybe I don't know, maybe there's another problem with the system, I don't know. Or maybe it's the fact that maybe something got reset again. Let me look at my settings again to see, because maybe he's talking and I can't hear him because because for some reason I disconnected and moved around, and for some reason like last time when people were talking and I couldn't hear because the sounds were going somewhere else, and something stupid like that. Westweb, ABC has much more money and far better lawyers. Maybe, but I don't know. That really depends. Desktop, that's not the microphone. I want the headphones, though. Let's see. Trying to get to the settings. It's not that. It's the... No, it is the microphone. Well, no, it's the microphone would be hearing me, not the microphone The microphone is the Rode Podcaster, so it's the correct microphone. But I don't know why we wouldn't be hearing Khalil. Anyway. Hey, Marie, what's going on? Shout-outs to everybody in the chat. We'll go through in a second. Wait, I hear something.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Did it take you a while to actually get notified that you were on the air?
Yeah, even when it notified me, it still couldn't hear me. I don't know what's going on. I know there's something wrong with that.
There's something wrong.
But even when it said,
no, there's something wrong with Blog Talk Radio. I was about a minute away from giving up on you, but I'm glad I didn't. So what's going on, Khalil? How was your weekend?
pretty good. Christmas is coming up Monday, so I hope I can have a good Christmas. I hope you have one too.
Hopefully. I mean, you know, I'm Jewish, but my wife's Catholic, so we kind of do a little bit of both. I did get the tree out of the garage because we decided to just go with the plastic ones to not have to deal with all the mess. Because the pine needles were the biggest pain in the neck, especially with the animal hair on top of the pine needles. But we basically told the kids, we're getting annual passes for Disney World, so that's going to be a lot of your Christmas gift is going to be that. And your birthday gifts, a lot of them are going to be that. So they'll get some little gifts, but most of their gift was already just spent because, you know, we took them to Disney World. So that was a good trip, and we had fun. We had fun on the trip, and we actually. And
also,
go ahead.
Also, it's not going to be too long before I go to Richmond, Virginia.
Right. So
it'll be like the 11th of January.
Yep. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping they air it somewhere because I'm going to try and see if I can tune in and see it. So.
Yeah, hopefully on CNN or something like that, or like C-SPAN.
If anything, C-SPAN. Or one of the C-SPANs. Yeah. If not C-SPAN 1, maybe like C-SPAN 3 or something. But I will. Do you know what time the whole thing's supposed to start?
9.
9. All right. Well, I mean, I work from home, so I'll be able to flip it on and see. And if I see, I'll be like, hey, I know that guy.
So. Also, one thing. Do you know about any movies? I want to do a movie, or either look for a movie where it's a horror film. It's not action or comedy. It's just a straight up sci-fi horror film or a straight up horror film, where you have a killer car and it gets blown up by a Barrett 50 cal. Do you know of any movies like that? And they're straight up horror. They're not action. They're not comedy.
Isn't it Carrie? Is it Carrie that I'm talking about with the car?
No, that's it's Christine, but
Christine.
That it didn't get destroyed. It didn't get destroyed by a 50 cal or spark. But I was looking for like a horror film where an evil car would get destroyed by like a 50 cal, and it would flash over, and then later on it would catch on fire to destroy it. I don't know if you know any movies like that. It's not action, but it's straight up horror, sci-fi, or just straight up horror. I don't know if you know of any movies or any TV shows like that.
I am not sure. I mean, not horror. I mean, there's definitely shows that I've seen where cars get blown up a good bit, like, you know, Knight Rider, but that's not horror. That's just action. So,
yeah.
Anyway, are you trying to use that as part of your presentation, or do you want to watch something cool?
Want to watch something cool, but also draw it out as well.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So, any big plans for the week?
I am eating at either Red Robin or Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'll just be hanging around with my counselor and everything.
Cool beans. Well, again, thank you for calling. And I got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. So, but I do appreciate your call, and I am looking forward to the 11th and trying to get you on there. And I'm sure we'll talk to you Wednesday before we do the Christmas thing. But you know, I don't want to tempt fate with Blog Talk Radio too much because it's already acting fishy. So, anyway, you have a good rest of your day, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
it's probably going to take about 15 minutes for it to actually go to mute. Who knows? So, got a question. If they remade Smokey and the Bandit, what kind of car should be used? Oh, I don't know. See, I'm just gonna turn off the desktop volume because I was right. I tried to mute it and I can still hear volume. So, who the heck knows what's going on with that? Blog Talk Radio is just being terrible. There's a war in Ukraine. Yeah, you can see a lot of Russian stuff getting blown up if you watch Ukrainian war footage. We got a lot of interesting news today. You've got Mark Meadows. He was denied with his request because he wanted his Atlanta trial to be held in federal court instead of state court because he believed that he was doing his job as part of chief of staff. And the judge, and the opinion was written by the chief judge of the 11th Circuit, and the 11th Circuit chief justice apparently is very, very conservative. Like, if you like drew up a conservative jurist, you would draw this person up. And he basically was like, no, you don't get to commit like a coup and then claim it was part of your job. So, I mean, just completely smacked down Mark Meadows, and that's good to see. And I have a little bit more about that later, because I don't know if it fully qualifies as a fat man rant, but it will qualify, it will be kind of like a message to the Trump supporters. Initially, it's something that I might have wanted to call in to Jeff Carrera's show and be like, listen, when do you tap out? But in reality, I just might make the video, upload it, and then send the link to Jeff and just be like, when do you tap out? At what point are you going to tap out? We're going to talk about that later. You got Rudy, who after being successfully sued by the two election poll workers, continued to run his mouth, and now he's getting sued again, and he's going to lose again. And I mean, this is, I guess, one of the problems with bankruptcies, because he shouldn't be able to get out of anything that he owes these women. He should have to be forced to pay them until he dies. Like, any money that he makes, he should have to just continuously get all that money sucked out of his paychecks until he ends his time on this mortal coil. So, but I mean, bankruptcy is available for everybody, I guess. So, it is what it is. I'm not even hitting the button at this point. Because I've still muted the desktop because I still haven't had Khalil hung up yet. I hit hung up and it's still spinning. So that shows you how horrible Blog Talk Radio is being today. And B, well, I don't want to wait for the lag. Then you got Trump. Let's see. Judge rejects key points of Trump's defense in New York civil fraud case in bad sign for former presidents. New York trial judge overseeing Donald Trump's civil trial wrote a scathing denial of his latest attempt to toss the state attorney general's case against him. Judge Arthur Engeron slammed Trump's accounting experts and rejected key points of the defense in an order Monday denying a motion for a directed verdict filed by Trump's attorney after trial testimony ended last week. It would be a glaring flaw to assume testimony from Trump accounting experts Eli Bartov and Jason Flemings are true and accurate, the judge wrote. The case record proves that there are many material misstatements on Trump's personal financial statements. Bartov is a tenured professor, but all that his testimony proves is that for $1 million or so, some experts will say whatever you want them to say. By dodgingly attempting to justify every misstatement, Professor Bartov lost all credibility. Engeron ended. The defendants also tried out two of their standard canards that valuations are subjective and the law only penalizes material deviations. This both fail in the category of let no one be fooled. A valuation can be based on different criteria and analyzed different ways, the judge said, but a lie is still a lie. Trump attorney Chris Keiss called Engeron's order a complete failure to address the legal elements of the claims. Based on the decision appeals, the Attorney General's burden of proof does not matter. The testimony from involved bankers doesn't matter. Application of governing... That's one of the things... The testimony of involved bankers doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because in a criminal case, or at least in a civil case where the people suing civilly is the state, because it's the state that's alleging harm done to the overall state and to the people of the state. It's the state suing, so it doesn't matter that the individual banks may feel, oh, well, we got paid, because that's not the point. The point is that he manipulated a system, and the system's supposed to be set up in a way that you're not supposed to be able to manipulate it. See, the judges already ruled Trump, his adult sons, and their businesses were liable for persistent and repeated fraud in a summary judgment. He also ordered the dissolution of Trump's business certificates. Enron will determine how much the Trumps and their company must pay and the fate of their businesses in New York. With witness testimony concluded, the Attorney General's office and Trump's lawyers have until January 5th to file briefs summarizing their positions. Oral arguments are scheduled for January 11th. Big day in Khalil. Hey, look, the Khalil phone call finally hung up. So, yeah, not a good day in Trump world for that, let me tell you. Let's see, Jeff. Daughter's birthday tomorrow. It sucked when she hit the age to know it was 2 different days. My son's birthday was the 15th. So, but we still managed to keep it separate for most things. Oh, excuse me. Most years, I'm still kind of exhausted from the drive yesterday. Most years, we still managed to keep things separate. Like, it was separate birthday, separate holiday. 2 different things. We didn't try and do the birthday Christmas at the same thing, or try and give him like a half birthday in July thing. We just said, okay, birthday is one thing, Christmas is one thing. Now with Henry, one time we did delay his birthday celebration for a month because his birthday fell right on Mardi Gras. So we were like, you know what? There's too much going on in the city for Mardi Gras. We need to just put it off for a month. And then, well, COVID happened. Like that, the weekend after. Like we went into lockdowns the weekend after we had Henry's birthday party. So it was Henry's birthday party that caused COVID. No, I'm just kidding. Don't blame the poor child who's, I guess, decided that he wasn't going to try and be quiet, and he went off and went and did something else. Hey, Trucker John, what's going on? So, see, we're almost at the 8:30 mark. What do I want to do? Do I want to do the rant first, or do I want to do the rebranding, reclaiming, repurposing thing first? I don't know. Let's see. Let's maybe go through the chat a second. Oh, well, one thing I did want to talk about before I got there was also is that one thing I was talking about on my own personal page, and this will go into a little bit of, you know, some of what I'll be talking about with the rebranding, reclaiming, repurposing thing. But we went to Disney World, and my wife made a cute shirt. It was Lumiere, but instead of his normal number of candles, he had 8 plus the top, so it was a Lumiere menorah. I had another shirt that just had a menorah, and it said "It's lit" at the bottom. And so, but for a little bit, I was actually contemplating whether or not it was safe for me to actually wear those shirts out in public. Do I wear those shirts to Disney World? Is it safe for me as a Jewish person in this country to wear those shirts in public, even in a place like Disney World? Now, Disney World is a very inclusive place, although we went to Animal Kingdom to go pick up a couple of things before we left Sunday morning, and they had Santa Claus riding around on a boat, and one of my sons had on a blue Christmas hat, and Santa was like, "Ho, ho, ho, why is your hat blue?" And I'm like, "Hanukkah." And he goes, "Oh, very good then," ha ho ho, or whatever. And I'm like, "Be inclusive, Santa. Come on." So anyway, but I was legitimately concerned as to whether or not I would be safe wearing either both of these shirts out in public, out in Disney World, out of the concern that could I potentially be attacked? Could I potentially be harassed? Is some idiot gonna come over to me and just be like, free Palestine out of context for no reason? And like, I was prepared for that. Because I was gonna make a scene. If that would have happened to me, I would have been like, "Oh my God, everybody! I would have said, look, I supported free Palestine, but this person picked me out of everybody to say it because I'm Jewish." So, but at the end of the day, I decided that if I did not wear those shirts, then the anti-Semites win. And I could not allow the anti-Semites to win, so I wore the shirts proudly. And I got compliments, and nobody really made any statements about it. Maybe if they said anything, maybe they mumbled it under their breath. I don't know, but they didn't do it enough in any sort of way that made me feel uncomfortable, bad, or whatever. So that's good. Anyway. So I'm just also trying to save this one thing, because I'm trying to do, instead of sometimes when I make my videos and I do the separate videos, it sometimes looks odd when I'll be talking about one topic and then another topic will be on the back, will be behind me, and then it doesn't make sense for me to be, I'll be talking about reclaiming, rebranding, and repurposing words as I have up here, but I'll be talking about Israel for some reason. So sometimes it's kind of weird to do that. But it is what it is. Again, not pushing the button. Anywho, so let's do the rebranding, reclaiming, repurposing first, and then we'll go into the other topic, and then we'll go into the fun topic, and then maybe we'll go into some of the other stuff. Like maybe we'll then and I have a couple of videos that I want to respond to on, if we have time to respond to them, with the whole unraveling toxic masculinity part, because I think that's gotten some traction. Although my video about the clip about Donald Trump wanted to be a dictator for a day, that's gotten a decent amount of traction as well, of a whole bunch of Trump supporters just going, "Sounds like a plan." So let's see. Lucid Libertarian, I just tried Blog Talk, and your show there is placing nothing but classical music. I was on another show, and myself and others had problems calling in, call dropping. I'm not surprised, because Khalil, one of my regular callers, called in earlier, and there was clearly an issue. He was able to call in, but I'm not surprised that it's just classical music at this point, because I'm not surprised that they're just completely effed up at this point. So, but thank you for letting me know that it's just completely spiraling out of control over there at Blog Talk Radio. But again, this is why I use Blog Talk Radio as only a tool as a soundboard, and apparently even that, it looks like it's not going to be a good soundboard. Let's see if I get it. It's going to take a minute after pushing the button, because there's a really bad delay, but we'll see. I hit the button. So we'll see how long it takes and then once we get it, then we'll start playing it, unless for some reason we're just not gonna get it at all. Man, this is a much longer delay than it was last time. I just have a feeling that Blog Talk Radio is just broken, and they realize that it's broken, and maybe they had to reboot the servers or something. Let's see what Jolie said. Jolie said something that I responded to. I don't know. My favorite was an issue. What do I need to get you to go away? Oh wait, I did catch something funny. For some reason, I rewounded I rewinded. I happened to scroll back in Hal's show earlier on in the evening show, and I managed to get Hal. It paused right here, and Hal was making this face, and I just thought that was absolutely freaking amazing and incredible and amusing. So, Hal making this face just made me laugh hysterically, hilariously. So anyway, there's Hal with his whatever. I don't know what caused him to make the face, but oh my. Anyway, rewound. Yes. So I'm a software developer and not an English major. I wasn't an English major. So, let's see. Lucid Libertarian. I got a message from Blog Talk that issues should be resolved earlier today. They lie. This is day 5 now of them having these issues. Not surprised. It's again. It's to me. It's just a tool. So it's just a tool to use. I don't take it that seriously. So. But anywho, so let's since clearly we're not getting. I'm sure that it is what it is going to come up like in 5 minutes or something at this point because it took forever to come up last time. But let's go ahead and just start doing the recording of this segment. And of course, at the end of this segment, if you're not used to the show, I'll be saying something like, if you agree, disagree, like, subscribe, share, whatever, thank you, bye. But I'm not really leaving the stream. So just as a reminder of that. So, actually, let me take a sip of water first. So, one of the topics on tonight's show is reclaiming, rebranding, repurposing words and using it to gain power or what have you. So what do I mean by that? Well, one of the biggest examples that I can point at when it comes to this is the use of the N-word. Now, of course, I'm not going to say it. It's not my place to say it. But obviously the N-word was used for a long time as a word to subjugate black people, to keep them down, to insult people, used as part of their oppression, both during slavery and beyond. And so, but there are black people who will use it together, instead of using an ER, use an A, for example, like the hard ER, as some people might say. And I remember an old episode, I think it was Give Me a Break, and Nell Carter was the housekeeper on it, and I think the guy, her boss was like, well, why is it okay for black people to say the word, but white people can't? And she was basically, well, black people, when they say it to each other, it typically comes from a place of love. And when white people use it, it typically comes from a place of hate, and that's the difference. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that if I'm at karaoke and I want to sing "Move, Get Out the Way" from Ludacris, it doesn't mean that if I actually sang everything verbatim that it would mean that I was coming at it from a place of hate. But you don't know that, and so I'm just not going to say the word anyway. Only time I've ever really said the word is if you're directly quoting somebody. Now, if I'm directly quoting somebody, or if people who are in the news are directly quoting somebody verbatim, I have no problem with that. But some people do, but I have no problem with. I take no issue with that. But that's a completely different thing. I can't come up to somebody and I'm like, hey, what's up, my whatever. It's not my place. It's not my word to use. But black people have used it and reclaimed it and repurposed it in a way to kind of try and take away the power that it has. And has it worked? I mean, clearly there are still people that use it for racist meanings or whatever, but it does take away some of the power because they're using that. Other words that have been rebranded or reclaimed or repurposed, like two different ways, like when using the word slut, there's two different ways, like people using it, to describe themselves as trying to take the negative connotation slut shaming away, trying to take away the how people treat women for embracing their sexuality, whereas you treat men like they're God's gift to earth if they're able to go out and sleep with the world, but if women go out and enjoy themselves sexually, they're labeled sluts. So women have often reclaimed and repurposed the word and embraced the word sluts to mean something that's not negative. But repurposing it, I've repurposed the word here on the podcast when I'm doing my Unravelling Toxic Masculinity videos, because when the guys are arguing the points about how women control the sexual marketplace or what have you, or their typical complaint about how dating is not fair, the sexual marketplace is not fair, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, if men wouldn't be such sluts, then maybe, the sexual marketplace would be different. But because you keep supplying it, then obviously the women are going in a heteronormative type of conversation. The women are going to be the ones who are controlling the access to it, because they don't have to be the ones supplying anything. They're to be the ones who are going to say yay or nay, because you're the ones who's making it artificially non-scarce resource, so to speak. So why do I bring this up? So why have I brought this up? It's because I've made several videos and I've made several points about this issue, about the term from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And I have no problem with the idea and the concept of a free Palestine. I think we should have a two-state solution. I think we're a while away from being able to accomplish that. You need to have Hamas gone. You need to have Netanyahu gone and Likud gone. You need to have real change bringers in control of both the Palestinian territories and in charge of Israel in order for that to move forward. But I take no issue in general with people saying free Palestine. Now, again, the people that come on to Jewish creator videos who say free Palestine on topics that are not relevant to the Israeli-Palestinian issue, like my Hanukkah videos, that's anti-Semitic. But the general idea of a free Palestine, I take no issue with. But the words "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is problematic for several reasons. One, it was used by Hamas to justify and call for the ethnic cleansing and or killing of all of the Jews in the area. So if you're going to be using the words to call for the ethnic cleansing of Jews in the area, then maybe those words get tainted at that point, especially since Hamas is in control of Gaza and they have power over there. So perhaps it's time to stop using that. Much like the Nazis took the swastika and made it unusable by people who might want to otherwise use the twisted cross. So there's that. But there's the other thing, is that you have these people who are being very critical openly of Zionism. And Zionism originally, before the goalposts got moved, were people who believed that the entire area from up north, Lebanon, down to the Red Sea, from Jordan and Syria over to the Sinai Peninsula and to the Mediterranean, that all of that belonged to Jews only. So when you're saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that to me implies that the entire area is Palestinian. What happens to the Jews? To me, that still implies an ethnic cleansing, just like the Zionists who believe the entire area only belongs to the Jews would have to then ethnically cleanse the other folks who might feel that they also have a claim ethnically, religiously, or what otherwise to the area as well. So, but how do you repurpose, rebrand, reclaim that? Well, I saw somebody else, one of my friends shared the idea with me. I found the post, and somebody else, and I think it's somebody who's Jewish, said, "From the river to the sea, everybody safe and free." I have no problem with this. I have no problem with that. From the river to the sea, everybody's safe and free. Why do I? Because it's inclusive. It means everybody. So there's no way that Hamas could then take it and use it to justify any sort of ethnic cleansing or genocide on their behalf, because everyone's safe and free means everyone's safe and free. And it doesn't then call for, it doesn't say anything about what the borders are going to be. It doesn't say anything about anything other than the fact that we want every person, every human being to be safe, and we want every human being to be free. And that's the baseline. So to me, that's how you do rebranding. That's how you repurpose. That's how you reclaim a phrase and use it in such a way to be positive. So, but I'm at the point where if you've listened to me already and insist on using from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and you insist on using that phrase and are not going to listen to a Jewish person when the Jewish person tells you that phrase makes Jewish people uncomfortable. I mean, even Cenk Younger, who I rail about on this channel all the time, gets it. He gets that. He got that point. And he's been railing about Israel and been saying that Palestinians should be free as well, and been heavily criticizing Netanyahu, which I have also been doing. But he even gets that. But switching it up from the river to the sea, everyone's safe and free, I endorse that. My name is Liberal Dan, and I endorse this message. What do you think? Do you believe that that's a good change? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and have a good day. I think I got that in right at 10 minutes. Elizabeth, free from Hamas would be nice. Yeah, free from Hamas would absolutely be super duper nice. But I mean, I think if everybody's safe and free, it kind of implies that. I think everybody's safe and free would require, in my opinion, no Hamas, no Netanyahu, because as we talked about on the show before, as I predicted on the show before, the Netanyahu administration knew that the attack was coming and did nothing to stop it. Why? Well, my assumption is that it benefits Netanyahu politically to react to an attack than it does more than it does for him to stop an attack. Oh, that's a good point. Who brought that up? Jolie, you definitely can. Gay is used differently now. Let's see. You cannot change the meaning of words. A word means what it means. Words are often changing meanings and adding meanings to it. I mean, sometimes when they change the meaning of words, it's literally stupid. Like when they changed the meaning of literally to mean figuratively. That was dumb. But like an example of the reclaiming of a word is that for a lot of people viewed the word queer as a slur. Even though you have LGBTQ and the Q in LGBTQ stands for queer. But there are people who are genderqueer, who are otherwise, will describe themselves as queer, who have embraced the word and have reclaimed it again as a way to take it away as a weapon from the bigots who would want to use it as a harmful word against them. Just like Tyrion Lannister says, wear it like a suit of armor so nobody can use it to hurt you. So, Big Hook, playing catch-up at 2 times speed. I wonder how I sound at 2 times speed. Welcome to Rebranding Radio, talking from left to right. This is your host, Dan Zimmer, coming from the Rose Louisa. Join the conversation, 914-803-4131 and 914-803-4131. Would that be 2 times speed, or is that longer? Actually, you can't even use the phone number anymore because Blog Talk Radio is broken at the moment. So, see what else we got going on. What's up, Alton Gillespie? Thank you for joining from Fort Worth. My friend Dean owns a glass repair shop. His slogan, "Give me a break." That's awesome. Let's see. There was a little video store that had the Faces of Death videos. We always rented them. The guy told us we were kind of weird for that. I mean, I could see that. I could see being labeled as weird for renting Faces of Death. Let's see. Well, I mean, I did see what was it? The one where was it Al Qaeda like beheaded the guy? That was just unnerving. Like, I never want to see that again. Oh God, is Trump doing more NFTs? Nice. Lovely. Or is just NFTs in general that are being scammed. All right. So, and we can get back to this topic on rebranding, reclaiming, and repurposing words, but I am going to switch it up a bit and switch the background up a bit. Did I not save that other image? How far must Trump go before you dump him? That's going to be the next one. How far must Trump go before you dump him? Now, before we do this... Yep, I didn't save this image before. Oh, excuse me. Wow, I didn't expect that to happen. Let's save that too, because I wanted that to also be something that we talk about later. A more fun topic, but a structured fun topic. A structured fun topic that everybody can participate in. That I want everybody to participate in, at least. Merry Christmas to you, Gibson. God bless us, everyone. Though it's very, my default of course is always happy holidays, because I don't know what religion people are unless I know what religion they are. If I know what religion they are, I will tell them what religion that they are, and that's, you know, the whole war on Christmas. I don't know, Gibson, did you hear the war before Christmas video? I think it's a good time, because especially since Blog Talk Radio is broken, before we go on to the next thing, before we go on to the next subject, let me play the war before Christmas as well, because this is something I made a while back for the show, and I play this every year because everyone brings up the fake war on Christmas and why everyone's all mad at the war on Christmas, and there's no war on Christmas, but we'll let the narrator, i.e. me explain that one. So let's hear it again in case you missed it earlier in the show.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who'll come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old Saint Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name. On Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus, on Buddhists, and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
And there you go. That is my deal that I play every year for the holiday season. Yes, Trucker John, the term Happy Holidays has been around since way before I was born, which is 1960. I remember seeing, when I was a kid, seeing television stations post season's greetings, because there's lots of seasons. And everyone, I remember one time I went into a bank and they were giving away cookies or whatever. It was a credit union service center or something, because I had a credit union account. And I walked and I said, wish the person had giving out cookies a happy holidays, because I didn't know what they practiced or whatever. I just knew that they were an employee at the bank. And she was like, Merry Christmas. And I was like, really? Like, that doesn't seem very festive. It doesn't seem very, very in with the good tidings and cheer of the season that you would want to have. Like, come on. Like, do I get mad when people wish me a Merry Christmas? No, I'm fine. I mean, that was annoying to be have it yelled at me, but you know, I don't get mad if people wish me, you know, happy thoughts during the holiday season. I appreciate the well wishes, generally speaking, unless it's obvious that you're doing it just to be an a-hole. Like, if you know I'm Jewish and you're like, Merry Christmas, then fine, you know, yeah, maybe you're being a douche. But but I do appreciate it more when people will take the opportunity and be more thoughtful and say happy holidays, because those people will recognize that not everybody in this holiday season are Christians, and there are many other holidays during the holiday season between Thanksgiving and Twelfth Night, January 6th, which is now a whole new holiday. And so if you're taking the time to understand and respect all of the other holidays in that season, then I will appreciate it more. And in reality, like in Judaism, like sometimes people will say Chag Hanukkah Sameach, which means happy, or Hanukkah Sameach, which means happy Hanukkah. But a lot of times for holidays, like Jews will wish each other Chag Sameach, which literally means happy holidays. So we don't get upset when people wish people happy holidays, because it's a default thing for us to always do. So, but I remember when was it Megyn Kelly was all angry that they were on Fox News when they were trying to tell people that Santa and Jesus weren't white people, and they were so mad about Santa not being white and Jesus not being white, you know, because tons of white people come indigenously from, you know, the area, from Bethlehem. So, right, Elizabeth, holy days, and there are lots of holy days. Actually, it's funny. There's a TikTok on this. It just came around recently. Like, apparently, like in the year 3032, which is, you know, not going to be around in any of our lifetimes unless they come up with some miracle of science, there will not be a Hanukkah. Because Hanukkah goes off the lunar calendar, and like every once in a while you have to add in a second full ass month of 28 days to make the months fit. So sometimes you'll have 13 months, sometimes you have 12, but the way it's going to work is that at the end of 1 year, you'll have like the last day of Hanukkah, and then the next day of Hanukkah won't take place until January 1st of the next year afterwards. So there'll be a whole year with no Hanukkah, and then there'll be 1 year with 2 Hanukkahs. So I guess the kids that year get double the presents, double the socks. So yeah, Big Hook, the evangelicals are giving Trump a pass because of the roll willing. Of course they are, but we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a second, because I'm gonna ask how far must Trump go before you dump him. This is one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, maybe calling into conservative talk radio or something, but I figured I would cover it on my show instead, because it was something I was thinking about, because especially when people were talking about how some of Trump's advisors were suggesting that Donald Trump, and the way that he is going to be dealing with the undocumented migrants that are that have come into the country that he's going to round them up and put them into sprawling camps. Now, sprawling camps should be enough to get enough people's warning bells just clanging, be like, you know what, this is a problem. We've heard this story before. Let's not do it again. But apparently to some people, that's not good enough. So I have to ask the people who are Trump supporters, at what point does it go too far? Currently, we already have some Republicans. We have some Republicans, some non-Republican conservatives who have put a line in the sand and said, this is too much. This goes too far. Or previous to this, they said, okay, this is going too far. The coup attempt on January 6th went too far. So those people, great. Those people have already made that decision. But at what point are you, as a Trump supporter, going to say that enough is enough, it goes too far? If planning on having camps, concentration camps, if planning on having sprawling camps, rounding up all of the undocumented migrants and putting them into camps is not enough for you, what will be enough for you to say Trump has gone too far? And at that point, when you get there, that's the other question. When you get there, will it be too late? Will it be too late for you to say anything at that point? What if he then decides, okay, well, these camps are working so great for the undocumented migrants that we're now going to use these camps for the Muslims too, because we don't like the Muslims, especially those people who are cheering, who are supporting the Palestinian people. We're gonna throw the Muslims in the camps too. With that, then, because now you're putting a religious test of other people who are going to go into the camps. What if he then starts deciding that he's going to do the retribution and being a dictator on day one, right? That wasn't enough for you. So what then happens when he decides to start putting his political enemies in these camps as well? Is that going to be enough to get you to be like, Donald Trump has gone too far, I need to call it quits on Trump? You let him get in the office and he does this, maybe that's too late. What happens if then he starts saying, well, we have too many people in these camps, we need to start doing something about them? And they start with a final solution. There will be a point when it becomes too late to stand up to him. There will be a point where you look at your own soul, where you look at your own morals. If you claim to be a moral person, where you're gonna no longer be able to look at all of him owning the libs and him, or at least you think that he owns libs, or you looking at him overturning Roe or getting Roe overturned by getting the 3 Supreme Court justices in or whatever. Where you're gonna look at that and you'll be like, well, you might like the fact that he did that, but the other actions go too far. But then, when he's putting his political rivals into the camps as well, then you're going to be like, well, now I can't speak up. Because if I speak up now, I'm now a political rival, and now I'm going to get thrown into a camp as well. So now you're forced into silence, or you're forced into continuing to be a supporter or feigning support for the safety of yourselves and your family, and now you're stuck. So the time to jump ship is now. The time to jump off of this Trump train before it derails the entire country is now. Because if you let it get to a point where he amasses the power that he wants to amass, where he expands the executive power, where he builds those camps, he starts putting other people into those camps, anybody into the camps is wrong. But when he starts expanding the use of those camps to punish the people that he doesn't like, and then you all of a sudden magically have this sense of moral clarity, if you ever do, then what? Now, of course, if you're a white supremacist, white nationalist person who is backing Trump because you like all that, you're going to applaud all the way and probably volunteer to work at the camps. So I'm not talking to y'all because y'all are irredeemable. Y'all are people who there's no hope in turning. None whatsoever. I have no hope that white supremacist, white nationalist type folks who applaud that or have any hope of being turned. But maybe there's a decent chunk of people who really believe that there's morals reasons to support Trump. I personally don't know how, but I'm not in your head. And you really need to think about this. Because if it gets too far and he amasses too much power to the point where you can't talk out anymore, we're all screwed. So the time to jump off the Trump train is now, because if you let him get that far, we're done for. Let's see, Lucid Libertarian. I don't support blindly following anyone, especially elected of government representatives and presidents. I believe once elected, it's the time to be extra critical of everything they do. Actually, I think it's time to be extra critical of everything they do before they get elected. Look at their plans, and if their plans suck, yeet them then. Don't ever give them the opportunity. We've had 4 years of Trump. We know what Trump is like as president. It's the time to dump him is now. But for some reason they won't see it. But are there enough people who support Trump or who at least are afraid? Because in reality, it's not the MAGA. It's not like the 30% of the Republican Party who are actual MAGA that I ever hope. I'm never going to reach them. I'm never going to reach them. Nobody is ever going to reach them. But it's the rest of the Republican Party who has been operating and functioning under this whole, we have to appease those 30%, because if we don't and they leave, we lose. Those people are the ones that need to be turned. Those people are probably like, I really can't stand these Trump people. I really can't stand what these Trump people are doing, but there's nothing we can do about it. Well, no, there is something you can do about it. You can put your country before your party. You can put your country before any singular political issue. Aquatic. I'm super normal and support Trump over Biden. I don't consider that to be super normal, dude. I do not consider supporting Trump over Biden to be normal. Sorry. Because under Trump, we lost hundreds of thousands of people needlessly to COVID because he cared more about the optics than he cared about people's lives. He wanted to make sure that people didn't see the cases. He didn't want you to know the cases. And see, I've predicted this before, and I have no way of knowing that this is true other than the fact that I know Donald Trump. I know how he is, and I can judge by his previous actions, like him telling Woodward that he discounted or downplayed the threat of the virus because it was really bad, but he didn't want people to think that it was bad because he didn't want to make himself look bad. How he wanted to cut the testing because when you test more, you get more cases, or at least you reveal more cases. So I'm fully under. If you did a deep dive into the Trump presidency and saw everything that he did, I guarantee you that he told the people on the border to not stop people from crossing. That he didn't want to stop fentanyl users from crossing. He didn't want to worry about stopping fentanyl users from crossing, because if Donald Trump stopped fentanyl users from crossing the border, that would mean that Donald Trump would have to report that he was stopping fentanyl users from crossing the border, which means he would have to report that fentanyl distributors, were trying to cross the border with fentanyl, and therefore he thinks he would look bad. Because what are they doing now? Now, when Joe Biden and the Joe Biden administration stops fentanyl from crossing the border, the Republicans are like, "Oh, we're unsafe because Joe Biden administration is stopping all this drugs from entering the country." No, you dummies. The Joe Biden administration is doing a great job by stopping all of these drugs from crossing into the country. Aquatic. He shut airline travel down for COVID. Everyone said he was going too far. Whether or not we questioned what he was doing at the beginning, because, again, he downplayed the threat. Maybe we wouldn't have said that he was going too far if he wouldn't have downplayed the threat. You see my point? He downplays the threat. He says it's not as big of a deal as it really is. And then shuts down airplane travel. Also, he doesn't shut airplane travel down from Europe, and the cases are coming in from Europe. He only shuts down airplane travel from China. And what would we believe at that point? This is the person who campaigned on a total and complete ban of Muslims entering the country. This is a person who campaigned saying that Mexicans crossing the border were rapists and murderers. He campaigned on bigotry and xenophobia. Anybody with a critical mind would be like, well, if he's only banning travel from China and he's going to be calling it the China virus instead of, the name of the virus, then he's only doing it because he's being a bigot. He's not doing it because of science. But in reality, at the time, the scientists were saying that the travel bans are not as effective as doing other measures. But he wasn't doing those other measures. Like the scientists were saying, if you're going to focus your energies on trying to prevent the spread of the virus, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And he did A, B, and C. Why? Because A, B, and C played better on the news. Hey, Dawn, how's it going? So Aquatic, when you say he did this and people said he went too far, that's why. Because he was lying to us about how big of a threat it was. And then he wasn't following the science. And instead he was doing, the only thing we had to go on in our brains was Donald Trump was a bigot when he ran, so why would we think he's not a bigot when he tries to implement this policy too? Let's see, the Democrats saying there was no big deal in the beginning and laughed about it. I don't know who was saying that it was no big deal. I mean, there was some issue with, what was it? There was Pelosi with the parade in Chinatown in San Francisco, and there was something else. But it was Donald Trump who was in charge of the NIS, the CDC. Donald Trump's in charge of all of the government agencies that are responsible for keeping us safe from pandemics. And Donald Trump was the one who was downplaying the threat. Again, he told Woodward in the Woodward interviews that he downplayed the threat, that he was telling everybody else that it was no worse than the flu, and then he tells Woodward, oh, this is so much worse than the flu. And look, I had it in January. I didn't know I had it in January because they didn't have tests for it. And at the very beginning, we didn't know much about it. So there was a lot of confusion going on about it. But once it became clear of what needed to be done, Donald Trump did the exact opposite. If we could have had a robust testing system that would have revealed where cases were anywhere they were, we might not have had to have shut down the entire country. If we could have had a robust testing plan that could have just tested areas, be like, okay, this area doesn't have an outbreak, so they can stay open. And this area doesn't have an outbreak, so they can stay open. But this area is getting an outbreak, so they need to quarantine. Hey, Leanna, what's going on? If Trump would have done simple things like wearing a mask, but when asked if Trump would wear a mask, Trump is like, I don't want to wear a mask. It would look ridiculous for me to wear a mask behind the Resolute desk. So he rejected mask wearing, and so his supporters did too. If Donald Trump would have said, it's patriotic to wear a mask, and I'm selling masks at donaldtrump.com for $25 a pop, you can wear your Trump 2020 masks at $20 a pop, and it'll donate to my re-election campaign, I guarantee you that all the people who didn't want to wear a mask would have lined up around the corner to get 20 of these things. I would have worn the masks all the damn time, all the live long day. Why? Because they would listen to him. But because he mocked masking, they mocked masking. And then he was like, is there anything we could do about putting, disinfectant into the bloodstream and put sunlight into the body? Stupid. No, COVID should have never been made political. The problem is that the people that made it political was vastly the conservatives, vastly the Republicans, the people who were fighting lockdowns, the people that were fighting vaccinations, the people that were fighting masking. No liberal or leftist person I know of fought masking. No liberal or leftist person I know fought vaccination. Plenty of conservatives fought masking, vaccinations, etc. Bill, the country was a shutdown, mostly volunteer on the good side as the rest didn't go out because everything was closed. I worked the whole time. I saw y'all running red light. I mean, there's that too. I mean, my boss at the time, or the person who I was doing contract work for, was definitely a conservative. He had a picture on his desk with him with George W. Bush. So I was like, ugh. But he was a fine individual person to work with at the time. We would get along if we hung out at the same time or whatever. But I mean, he basically did make the decision to let everybody work from home or whatever, and so I was able to bring stuff home, and do my work from there instead of having to work from the office, because he understood that it was getting to the point where it was spreading and it needed to stop. So even he was like, okay, this is spreading. We need to stop. We need to stop the spread. But people didn't want to do enough to stop the spread. I saw people all the time fighting masking down here, fighting masking, fighting social distancing, wanting to go out and do things, needing to go to church, wanting to go hang out at church, as if you couldn't pray by yourself. Can't pray in your room because the preachers need their money. They need their tithing or whatever. Hold on, let's see. Lucid Libertarian studies coming out, mask wearing maybe. Lucid Libertarian, are you saying that mask wearing didn't help the wearer? Or are you saying mask wearing didn't help anybody at all? Because here's the thing. A lot of the times when conservatives or libertarians or the people who opposed masking would say that masking doesn't help or was useless are typically people who would say that because they didn't believe that masking helped the wearer and ignored that masking would help anybody else. Also, they would take the idea that if masking didn't stop 100% of the spread, that somehow it failed. That somehow it wasn't good. Like, if a mask prevented 85% of the droplets from leaving your general area, so only 15% got out if you sneezed or coughed or breathed or whatever, that this was somehow a failure because 15% still got out, so that way, oh no, it doesn't work. When in reality, it was working because it was slowing the spread. It was stopping the spread. Do you think that the virus, COVID-19 by itself can't be stopped by a paper mask? No. But that's not the point. The point is that COVID-19 doesn't travel by itself. COVID-19 traveled on droplets of saliva, which would be stopped by a mask. And that was the thing that I was fighting with people all the live long day, and I still can't believe I'm still having to fight this stuff. I still can't believe that we still have to fight this stuff. It's ridiculous that we have to continuously fight this stuff. Continuously fight the misinformation. There's a reason why in Japan, whenever somebody feels that they might be having a flu come on or in flu season, they go out and they put on their masks. Because it helps prevent the droplets from spreading. It doesn't stop them completely, but it makes it less likely that the droplets of saliva are going to get to you. If the droplets of saliva are less likely to get to you, the virus is less likely to spread. Why are we still fighting about this? Because we still have people in the chat who are repeating bad information. And you know when you didn't have to wear a mask? When you stayed home. Like we were supposed to. But people were going to Sturgis. That was the first whatchamacallit. Liberal Dan Chopper City was the people going to Sturgis, and God knows how many people died because of Sturgis. Say, Billiam, yes, well said, Dan. The virus is the droplets which surprise the masks are engineered that way. Yes, exactly. And I would wear a before I would get the KN95 or the N95s before they were available. I would wear the surgical like masks with the cloth mask, like the dual layer ones or whatever, and I would do whatever. But then you saw Donald Trump killed Herman Cain. Or maybe Herman Cain killed himself, but either way, big rally. The only reason more people didn't die from the Tulsa rally that Donald Trump had is because of TikTok. TikTok kids signed up for tickets to this thing in mass, making it so that the people who were organizing the event believed that there were going to be so many people attending that they had to have an overflow area where you could watch TV. And they didn't need the overflow area because a lot of the reservations made for this thing were done by kids who were never going to go because they were just trolling Donald Trump. So that's probably why more people didn't die from Tulsa. But again, and the Tulsa rally was when Donald Trump was like, we need to stop testing. No, you dummy. You don't stop testing, you test more. If we would have tested more, we could have seen where the outbreaks were happening and did targeting closures, targeted quarantines, etc. Lucid Libertarian, I didn't wear masks, never got COVID. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you never got COVID. Maybe you got a mild case. Were you around your neighbors outside, or did you go hang in their houses when they had COVID? Like, an anecdotal evidence isn't proof. If you got lucky, maybe there's something in your bloodstream that makes you less susceptible to COVID. I don't know. Ken QB, I wish they would treat schools like COVID and stop testing. Right, Elizabeth, you might have been asymptomatic, therefore likely spread it. That's the thing, too. You could be asymptomatic and have COVID. And we would have known if there would have been more symptomatic people. And here's the thing about if you would have tested more, you might have actually seen, maybe you might have found out that maybe it was less deadly. Because then you might have found out, oh, here's a bunch of asymptomatic people who are testing positive for it, but they have no symptoms. So now there's more people, so it would have made the death rate smaller. But no, we didn't want to do that because Donald Trump didn't want to have more cases. My son Henry tested positive for COVID and was asymptomatic. He probably was the one that gave it to most of us. And yeah, my son Thomas never has it, never tested positive for it. Not once. Even when the four of us tested positive in the house. Literally. This is a literal story. Henry got COVID. We got COVID. Like, we were going somewhere, and then we're like, all right, starting from this day on, we're not going to do anything. Well, the day before, we went bowling, and we got COVID. Well, Thomas didn't. But I did, my wife did, and Henry did. So we told Thomas, you need to stay away from all of us. Stay away from us. Go to your room. You know, if we're gonna make our dinner. You can go to prepare your dinner when we're done, and then go bring your stuff to it. He was loving it. He was like, he's a loner sometimes. He has fun by himself. He can have fun by himself. So, but he's never tested positive for COVID. Even when we tested him, like I gave him I tested myself, and my test was like boom, like wait 5 minutes, nope, boom, instant, you have COVID. Wife's test, boom, instant, you have COVID. Henry, boom, instant, you have COVID. Thomas, negative. What? He's never tested positive for COVID. So, yes. Aaron makes a great point. If you've never been tested, how do you know you never got it? Right. If you never got sick, you say you never got sick, that's how you know. But again, there are asymptomatic people. There are people who have herpes right now who don't have symptoms for herpes. It doesn't mean that don't have herpes. There are people who have HPV right now who don't have symptoms of HPV, who are spreading HPV because they don't have symptoms and they don't know that they have HPV. But it spreads because they're asymptomatic. They still have the virus. There are kids who were not being as affected by the virus, but who were being little transmitters, transmitting it to everybody else. If you're not coughing or sneezing, then how do you spread it? By breathing, by talking. When I talk, there are some people who are much worse spitters. Like if I say words like spray and spit, I am more likely to be projecting saliva out of my mouth. And if I say, and while I tend to not spray words when I'm talking, there are a lot of people who are less likely to be able to do so. So, you know, talking can spread it, because talking can cause saliva to be projected from your mouth. Breathing can cause, you know, water, you know, your salival vapors to come out of your mouth. Ken QB, you can have HIV and spread it without having symptoms. Exactly. HIV can be asymptomatic for a long time, but you can spread it over and over and over again and not have a damn clue. So, Jeff Curry, I'm pretty sure he ain't got crabs, ladies. Well, good thing. Egolf Twitler. First they were anti-social distancing, then anti-mask, then anti-science, then anti-vaccine. Far too many seemed allied with the virus. I mean, they were perfect. I mean, if this really was, as some of the conservatives were saying, an operation by China to try and get, you know, Americans sick, which is weird because you have people saying conservatives love conflicting conspiracy theories. This is one of the things that's funny. Like, it would be funny if it wasn't so horrible. Conservatives will like have conflicting conspiracy theories. COVID isn't as bad as we thought, as everybody's making it out to be, but it's a plan by China to kill us. If it's not as bad as we thought it is, then why is it a plan? How is it a plan to kill us? Doesn't make any sense. The people who are birthers would be like, President Obama wasn't born here, but then he lost his natural born citizenship when his parents moved him to Indonesia. What? How can you do both? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. Lana Geyer, when I'm pushed to the point of anger, you bet I spit. And there was some times when I got into some arguments with people who freaking refused to mask at stores, especially at the stores, at the store people. I'll be like, you're letting these people into your store and they're not being responsible. They are not doing what they need to do to protect other people. If it was an attack by China, Trump handles, she is handling. That's true too. Well, Trump loves to talk good about dictators. He talks good about Lil Kim. He talks good about Putin. He was just bragging on Putin the other day, about how, how Putin was talking about how America is under Biden is a show of bad democracy or something, and Putin and Trump is like, that's my boy Putin defending me. I'll never quit Putin. Thank you for that, Rose. Rose just like shook her head and got cat saliva on me. See, you could shake your head and get saliva on people another way. No, Lucid. HIV doesn't mean you have AIDS, but if you spread HIV, that's how people get AIDS. That's the thing. If you spread HIV unknowingly, asymptomatic, like if you don't have AIDS, it means you're probably asymptomatic. You have HIV. I mean, there are other symptoms that you can get from HIV, but if you're HIV and you don't get tested and you're not showing symptoms, you still have HIV and you still can spread it to other people. Just because it hasn't harmed you yet in a way that's symptomatically visible or noticeable, it doesn't mean you don't have it, and it doesn't mean you're not spreading it. This is like the whole argument by conservatives, when conservatives were making the argument that you don't want to go on a ventilator because ventilators kill you. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's not the ventilators that kill you. Like, this is literally what that guy Jeff Carrera in the mornings would say. He would say, I had a friend who went to the hospital and died because he went on a ventilator. No, he didn't die because he went on the ventilator. He died because he was so sick that he had to go on a ventilator, and the ventilator didn't help him, and he died anyway. These people believe, ridiculously so, that the ventilators were killing people, instead of believing that it was their conditions that were killing people. Because they're so willing to reject science, they're willing to spread any falsehood, any false narrative, as long as it attacks the people they want to attack. Jeff Curry, Don, I don't recall if a movie or show guys had crabs and tried to drown them by sitting in a swimming pool. Well, I actually have a friend. He hooked up with somebody in college about 5 days after I hooked up with her. And he got crabs and I didn't. And he was living with another friend of mine, and they had like an infestation of their apartment, and they had to put off like a bomb or whatever to rid the apartment of the infestation that they had, and do all the laundry or whatever you had to do in the apartment to get rid of the crabs. And what one of them ended up doing was he ended up just completely shaving off all of his body hair and then going for a swim, thinking that that would kill him. And he actually didn't have them anymore, but I don't know if it's because he shaved himself or it's because he went for a dunk in the pool. So, okay, Eggoff Twitler. 2 months before patient zero in Wuhan, Donald Trump ended the Predict Pandemic Early Warning Program in Wuhan Institute of Virology, an open channel of intelligence in the same research lab. Because Donald Trump was an irresponsible president. And when Donald Trump, like, he claimed all the credit for Project Warp Speed, even though it wasn't a Warp Speed company that came up with the vaccination first, but then he didn't have a method of distribution. The Biden administration had to come up with the methods of distribution, and then the Biden administration got it in double the arms that he wanted to. By July 4th or whatever what it is. He wanted 100,000 shots in arms by July 4th, and he got 200,000 shots in arms by July 4th, despite the fact that the Trump administration left him with bupkis. Right, Chucker John, because many of the people that went on ventilators were in such bad shape they weren't able to survive. It isn't the respirator, it was their health. Exactly. That's the point that I tried to make it to them, but no, they don't want to hear that at all. They don't want to hear that whatsoever, one bit. Hey, Robert Reynolds, how you going? One of the other Liberal Dan Radio patrons, thank you. We also have Demonox, Jolie, Wes, Aaron, we had Chris, but Chris is having some issues, so he had to drop from being a patron. I was like, please take care of yourself before you don't have to go broke supporting me. I appreciate it. Don't fall in, Jeff. But again, thank you for joining. Do a little quick reset. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Share the show. The easiest way to share it, just say share liberaldanradio.com. That brings you right to the YouTube channel. At the start of today's show, we're at 83 watch hours left to go in order for the show to be monetized. Let's see. We are currently at, let's open up the calculator. If we see what we're currently at. According to the current stats on this video, we have 58 views times an average view duration of 29 minutes, which is 1,682 minutes divided by 60, which is 28 hours. So currently, right now, this show has 28 watch hours, which means that ignoring everything else will be even closer to where we need to be, but not exactly to where we need to be. problem is that once, today finishes, once we finish off 12/18/2023, 12/18/2022, or once we get to 12/19/2023, 12/19/2022 drops off. So any views we gain today, we lose from last year, which is why rolling averages suck. I don't quite understand why you need so much. If people want to become a Liberal Land Radio member, or if people want to send a super chat, I don't know why you have to fit these ridiculous thresholds. I get maybe why you might want to reach certain thresholds to be able to qualify for ad revenue, but still, it's still kind of silly. Like Ken QB, that's what the stats say. We have 20. We have. Well, there's 28 concurrent viewers, but currently we've had 59 total overall views. So I don't know if that means people coming back and forth, or some people coming in and dropping out. And then the average view duration has been 29 minutes. So some people maybe came in and said, "Nah, I'm done. I don't want to watch it anymore." So we have 28 29 went to 28. So probably have like a good chunk of maybe 25 viewers, 28 viewers who've been here for the entire time, and then other people who just jumped in who brought the average down. I don't know. I got to Donald's choice to vaccinate in secret in the winter after the election rather than publicly caused the massive anti-vax movement in MAGA and higher death rates. I think the anti-vax movement started in MAGA much sooner than that, though. I remember listening to the conservative talk radio and hearing people talking about the whole 5G thing like way early on. Like, I was still going into the office. So this was before March 2020, and people were calling into the radio show talking about how they're going to put 5G into the vaccine. So there were people spreading misinformation about the vaccines and how they were going to get 5G into your system and you're going to be mini cell towers or whatever. People were spreading that crap way early on. So, but Donald Trump could have done much more to promote vaccinations, to promote social distancing, to promote mask wearing. He could have done so much more in every way to help save lives in this country, but he chose not to because politically he felt it helped him more, especially early on when his son-in-law basically said that it would behoove him to just let things happen because they thought that just liberals would be dying, because you had situations in like most likely the poorer people more likely to live in apartments in the big cities, people living in like Section 8 housing or in housing projects, living in close quarters. And at the very beginning, it was actually true. You had more of the deaths were taking place in black people because the black people were living in such close quarters, and so they were more likely to get it, more likely to transmit it, and more likely to die. But then once the vaccines rolled out, and once Biden started getting the vaccines into the arms of people, and the black people were tired of seeing their friends and their family dying from COVID, they went out and got the vaccines, and they all got vaccinated, and guess what happened? The death rates went from happening in the inner cities to majority black people dying from COVID to happening in Republican counties. And then it was like 5 out of 6 COVID deaths were happening in the red counties instead, because those are the people who were ignoring the science. So anyway, let's take a break from the series for a second. Again, we want resetting the show, liberallandradio.com. Talk from the left, that's right. We don't have phone calls at the moment, I guess, because Blog Talk Radio is broken. Hold on. Let's see if I can connect again.
Blog Talk Radio.
It appears you're currently connected to a show that's already running. Maybe. I don't know.
To start your show now.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Okay, I'm reconnected. Maybe they fixed their problem. Who knows? Right, it was a blue state problem, is what he was saying. I don't see the reconnection happening. So anyway, but again, we need 83 more watch hours to help this become help me become a partner, which means watch additional, which needs have your devices have my shows, have longer shows on. Have your devices have longer shows on. You don't even have to be in the room. Just have them play them. As long as they're not on mute, I think it counts. That's my understanding of it at the time. I'm not sure exactly if it's true or not. But we were at 23 hours or so left to go to get the 3,000 when I was at Disney. And then all of a sudden in the last few days, it dropped to 90 and now we're at 83. So just help a brother out. But also share the channel. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 because if I get to 1,000, then I could get the full-on partner status with getting ad revenue and everything like that as well. Like videos, comment on videos, because by liking videos and commenting on videos and interacting with videos, you get the algorithms up and everything like that. If you want to support the show other than that, you can also Venmo me, Liberal Dan on Venmo, buy me a coffee or buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the buy me a cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio, and that'll get you there as well. You can also support Nerdy Dan, nerdydan.com. I have my Twitch streams are on Tuesdays now, and I think that's going to be a permanent change where I'm going to be twitching on Tuesdays. No, not like twitching, but I'll be on Twitch on Tuesdays now, playing games like Disney Dreamlight Valley, Fortnite, Rocket League, etc., or doing some other fun stuff as well. So Elizabeth, 26 people in here for 2 hours make a dent. Yes, it will. But currently the stats as I'm seeing is 62 views for average view duration of 30 minutes. So that gets us to 30 hours of gained view time. So if we hang in there for if everybody hangs in there for the rest of the show and we hang in for the whole 3 hours and we get like 25 people for 3 hours, that gets us 75 hours of watch time, which would mean that we would be this close. Yeah, it didn't let me connect. It says that it tried to connect me, but I'm not connected. Let's see. I could always try and hitting connect again and see if it lets, because I want to have my soundboard. I like having my soundboard just so I can play Trump's It Is What It Is. But the other thing I want to do is I want to have everybody, if you have Twitch, go to Twitch and follow Liberal Dan Radio on Twitch, because once I become a partner here, I'm going to start the streaming on Twitch as well, and I need so I can become a Twitch affiliate so I can do both. And then I can start making money both ways. So we'll see. But I need 50 people to follow me on Twitch in order for that to happen. I only need an average of 3 people watching on Twitch, but I need 50 people to follow me on Twitch, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not. That's still being stupid. That's Blog Talk Radio, and Blog Talk Radio is being stupid, as always. Anyway, those are all the ways you can help out. I appreciate everything and anything that y'all can do to help out. I know many of y'all have been doing all of the things, and I appreciate it greatly. Don't get me wrong. I love everything that y'all have done, and I'm so close that it's just this close, and I just want to get to that point. I'd love to be able to get to that point. Hey, what's going on, Tim? Put on a rerun of Liberal Dan, turn the playback setting to fastest speed, go have a shower, and get ready for work. I don't know how much that works. I don't know if that counts as watching it for, like, if you put on the 7-hour video and put it on twice the speed, I don't know if that would count for 7 hours, 3.5 hours or none. That'd be interesting. Twitch is just another streaming venue that people use. A lot of people use it for gaming. Some people use it for chat. Some people use it for like reaction videos to like, wrestling and stuff like that. I would, because I like watching wrestling, and I'm actually a pretty good like predictor of what's going to happen in wrestling. I don't know why, I just am, but I can't get followers there either. So I just gave up on I just do my prediction videos, but I haven't done any live reaction stuff. And if I wanted to do live reaction stuff to wrestling, well, I wouldn't be doing this right now because there's currently a wrestling show right now on. So that shows you how much I'd rather do the politics. That's the gaming stuff and the pop culture stuff is kind of like, that'd be cool for a secondary thing. And I kind of have combined the two together, and combining the two together a little bit did help me become an affiliate, because I am a Twitch affiliate on nerdydan.com. So you can, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to my Nerdydan for free, and it gets me like a couple bucks a month. But I'm hoping to be able to get to that point with Liberal Dan Radio and be able to do that as well. So put on a Yuletide log live stream. Unfortunately, I was just reading through the YouTube policies, and if you have repetitive stuff like that, or stuff that people are not interested in, that stuff doesn't count. So, but I don't know if that stuff doesn't count if they were just talking about the monetization policies for like ad revenue, or if that's for everything. So I don't know. But if I did do that, you'll be happy I did. Anywho. So, but we are going to switch the topic of conversation yet again. Underrated, underappreciated, or underrecognized talent. So, why do I bring this up? Well, I one of the previous shows I was talking about how getting into the third hour, I like to have fun topics sometimes. And this sounded like a topic that would be fun to do. And it would also be fun to do because it could be there could be some viewer interaction as well, because I could get your opinions on it on top of stuff. But this is how it came up. Back in college, or when I was taking a year off of college, to be more specifically, between Tulane and UNO, I was dating somebody. I remember I was in my apartment. We were watching MTV when they actually had music playing on MTV. And all of a sudden, the Offspring song, Gone Away, starts playing. And my ex, or my girlfriend at the time, is like, "This is the best song ever." And it's a good song. I mean, I like the song. I'll still listen to it. But she goes, "This is the best song ever." And then immediately the sound, because it was a countdown of music videos, and the voice on MTV goes, "Number 84." And I just died laughing because it was the perfect timing. I mean, this is the best song ever. Number 84. And it's still a point where we actually talk from time to time, and it'll come on like on XM, and I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to her, and then she'll just respond, "Best song ever." And I tell Cassie that, and she gets a kick out of it too. So it's funny. But I often will say that I think that the Offspring are an often overlooked and underrated band. I think a lot of times, you hear a lot of their songs, and like you really but you don't think about them a lot. But when they come on, you're like, okay, this song slapped, that song slapped, that song was good. Do I ever think that they're gonna make the Hall of Fame, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't believe that they'll make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't think they're that good, but I do think that they're underrated and maybe underappreciated. I don't know. Which made me got to thinking about, well, what bands, groups, artists, creators, athletes are notably missing from their respective Trucker John, you gotta keep them separated. What bands, artists, athletes, creators, etc. I mean, are generally underappreciated, unappreciated. And Tim Farrell says the Guess Who. I saw the Guess Who in concert at Disney when I went 2 times ago. I think it is now. They were pretty good. But like mostly in terms of people who are not in their respective Hall of Fame, be they artists, creators, actors, maybe actors who haven't gotten their recognition from like getting a Grammy, or not Grammy, but an Academy Award or an Emmy, or a singer that hasn't gotten a Grammy, a football or baseball player hasn't made it into their sports Hall of Fame, or just a musician who hasn't made it into like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, and Tim Farrell says Pete Rose, and Pete Rose is a great example of one that I was going to bring up. So, Bill M goes, Offspring they had the best-selling punk hardcore albums, love or ambivalent towards them. They brought the genre back from a new wave. And that's, Aaron goes, I'm fading, I'm not going to make it. Well, I hope that just means you're just going to fall asleep, in which case enjoy your sleep. Taylor Swift, do you think Taylor Swift is underappreciated and under-recognized talent? Or do you not think Taylor Swift will make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Is that what you're saying? I'd have to look at the eligibility standards or whatever when one becomes eligible. Let's look that up real quick, because I don't think I had that brought up. When does one become eligible for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The first record by the musician or band has to be out for at least 25 years. So Taylor Swift would have to be a musician for 25 years in order for her to be eligible. I think Taylor Swift would probably make it, but you never know, because one of the first bands that comes to mind of people who should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame but are not, Motley Crue. That is a hill that I will die on. That Motley Crue should absolutely be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they're not. In fact, according to this list, they've been eligible for 17 years. And this is the list that I'm using for this. I can share it in the chat if you want to look at it along with me. You can sort it different ways, but I found this list when looking for people who have been snubbed. But I didn't start. But even before I found this list, I was like, wait, is Motley Crue not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because I don't remember them being inducted. And I looked it up, and apparently they're banned from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for some reason. They're like blacklisted from it, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's for a reason like Pete Rose is banned from the Baseball Hall of Fame, but I mean, how can you not have Motley Crue in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Home Sweet Home, Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart. I mean, if Kickstart My Heart comes on in the car and I'm by myself, I'm cranking that SOB up, because that's just a great song. Like every time there's this meme that'll come around where it'll be like, you're just about to start the Death Star attack run. What song do you put on to start the Death Star attack run? Like, ignoring the fact that, it should be John Williams. But what song do you put on to start your Death Star attack run? And my answer is always Kickstart My Heart. That there's other bands that are like more than Motley Crue. Don't get me wrong. I like Rush more than Motley Crue. We talked about this before. But it's ridiculous that Motley Crue are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I found this list of who has not been in the Hall of Fame. So The number of years nominated, if you sort that list that it is linked to, the Hall of Fame is political now, probably true. If you sort by number of years nominated, the band Chic, who I got to see in concert when I went to go see Duran Duran, Chic was nominated 11 years and never made it. But I'm not necessarily going to say that Chic is a snub totally, because the head of Chic is Nile Rodgers, and Nile Rodgers is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's kind of weird that he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Chic isn't. And I think he even has said that. But I'm not going to say that Chic in and of itself, being left out is in and of itself the worst thing on the list, simply because of the fact that, Nile Rodgers is on there, and Nile Rodgers should be in there, clearly, because of all that he's done. Now, there are some people who are going to be like, well, who should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Should all musicians be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Should it just be rock and roll? Because clearly they've allowed R&B and rap acts to come in. Can folk music be in it, or are there folk singer groups in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Let's see. What music genres are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Ranging from rhythm and blues, jazz, folk rock, heavy metal, and hip-hop, this exhibition is a myriad of musical genres. So, you can have folk in there, which is fine. So I'm looking at this site. If you sort now by years snubbed, there's some people who I can look at there and be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know some of these. But people who are not in the Hall of Fame that maybe should be in the Hall of Fame. The first one in the number of years snubbed, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Shouldn't Peter, Paul, and Mary be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Isn't that a little silly? It doesn't. It seems to me that Peter, Paul, and Mary should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'll say, is Paul Simon in and of itself in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Now, yeah. Or is that not? Let's see. Simon and Garfunkel are in. Paul Simon is in. And Simon and Garfunkel in. Maybe I'm just having a brain fart. Paul Stuckey. I'm sorry. That's the wrong Paul. I had a brain fart. My dad would probably be very mad at me right now. Because he likes Peter, Paul, and Mary. Anyway, people who shouldn't, but I just had the thought of Paul Simon. I was like, let's see if Paul Simon's in there. Paul Simon's in there twice. Barry White is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's been snubbed for 35 years and never have once been nominated. Really? No Barry White? The Guess Who, as somebody brought up, 33 years eligible. Never one nomination. Cher, 33 years, not one nomination. The Monkees. I don't know if the Monkees belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so I don't know if that's necessarily a snub or not. The first one, let's see, who else? Jethro Tull, 30 years, could be nominated, are not in there. Three Dog Night. Why is Three Dog Night not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Kool and the Gang, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Diana Ross. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Let's see. They list Bad Company as a snub. I could see them being in it. I could also see them not being in it. That's fine. Foreigner, 21 years, not in the eligible in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not once nominated. Motorhead was nominated once, never made it. I could see it. You know, I can see them making it, but again, Motorhead, maybe not. I don't know. There are probably some Motorhead fans be like, how could you say that? But fine. The B-52s. I would think the B-52s belong in there. Now, personally speaking, Weird Al Yankovic has been eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 19 years. I think there's a good argument to be made to induct Weird Al Yankovic in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, considering he's parodied almost every genre that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and has his own original music. There's probably an argument as to why he's not, and I'll accept that too, because he's parody. I mean, someone might say if the Monkees aren't in it, why is Weird Al? Why would Weird Al be in it? But I think Weird Al is in a class all of his own. Ozzy Osbourne is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What? Billy Idol is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What? Cyndi Lauper is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's been nominated once, but never made it. Now, we're getting into some that it's like, you know, Eric B. and Rakim, nominated once. I would see them as getting in. Soundgarden, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jane's Addiction, I could see it. The Offspring has been eligible for 10 years, not in it. Now, I guess as we're getting down to eligibility, as we're counting down to, like, you know, if you're eligible for, I don't know at what point it counts as a snub. A Tribe Called Quest. Tribe Called Quest should probably be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They've been nominated twice, they didn't make it. I think A Tribe Called Quest should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's see. Black Sabbath is definitely in there, but Ozzy by himself has an argument to be made to be in there by himself, I would say. But, like, at what point do you say is a snub if, like, you're eligible? Like, I'm not going to say that Coldplay is a snub when Coldplay has only been eligible for 1 year. Like, that's not a snub. It's just, you know, I think 1 year is enough to, you know, you have to wait maybe a little more than 1 year to say, okay, this is a snub. Beck, 5 years. Maybe you wait more than 5 years before it becomes a snub. Stone Temple Pilots, 6 years. Maybe you're getting now into the point where maybe it's a snub. Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, you should allow the Wu-Tang Clan should be in there. Alice in Chains, 8 years. Not one nomination. Alice in Chains should be in there, I would think. Queen Latifah, 9. Clearly should be in there as well. But this is just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, I mean, Ozzy is Sabbath, but Ozzy, I think, had a... But, it's, again, Paul Simon is in for Simon and Garfunkel, and Paul Simon is also in as Paul Simon. So if you could be in the Hall of Fame more than once because you're of a membership in a group and a membership as a solo artist, then you should be allowed, then Ozzy Osbourne should be inducted as a solo artist as well as a group. I'm just saying. So, again, but this is just now rock and roll. What else? Snubs. We already listed Pete Rose. Uh, let's see. People who are not in the WWE Hall of Fame. I've said that I like I like wrestling. For a while, Randy the Macho Man Savage was not in the WWE Hall of Fame, but that was changed after he died. And there are rumors as to why that happened. Who knows if those rumors are true? So, who is not in the WWE Rock and Roll Hall of Fame currently? The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. See, there was there was a turmoil with The Rock that night at the 2008 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, and just in general, with his family, there was a lot of family drama going on at the time. Rock was flying in just to try and be there a decent hour and busting his butt to get there, and I think he was doing us a huge favor by coming in and doing this, blah, 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 blah. I think he would have walked over hot coals and swam there if he had to induct his grandfather and his father. We were just happy to have him. It's The Rock, and I think he felt a little bit rushed. I just think he felt rushed in ways and frustrated at something. So I was like, dude, this is your night. Don't worry about it because it doesn't mean anything, blah, blah. You have every second you could possibly want or need or whatever you want. It's your night. It's your night for your dad, for your grandfather. Enjoy it. So blah, 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 blah. But anyway. Yes, Jeff Curry, Macho Man died. He's been dead a while now, I think. I think he died in 2005. When did Macho Man die? No, 2011. On my birthday in 2011 is when Macho Man Randy Savage died. He became unresponsive while driving with his wife in Seminole, Florida, and crashed into a tree, unfortunately. And then afterwards is when he became, is when he posthumously been Chief Wahoo McDaniel. Let's see. People who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. China. Another one who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, Cyndi Lauper, because they have celebrities who have taken part who are in the Hall of Fame. Miss Elizabeth, Owen Hart, Andy Kaufman is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Let's see, 14 stars who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Let's see. Trying to see. View gallery. Miss Elizabeth, the Macho Man's manager. Demolition, the tag team. Cyndi Lauper. The Dynamite Kid. Vicky Guerrero. Mabel. Bull Nakano. I don't know if anybody knows that. Brian Pillman. Jazz. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't know why they put Stephanie McMahon. I'm sure Owen Hart is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, which is strange. China as a solo induction. China was inducted as part of D-Generation X, but not as a solo, which she should be. Donald Trump could. Let's see. Is Donald Trump in the WWE Hall of Fame? Is Donald Trump in the WWE Hall of Fame? He could be. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2013. So yes, Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Owen Hart is not, which is ridiculous. Let's see. Jimmy Snuka. I'm sure he is in the Hall of Fame. But I think they took him out. I think they took him out of the Hall of Fame because of what they alleged him of what he was... Or did they put him back in? Because he was inducted, then took him out, right? Is that the case? So I think that's the case. Let's see. Control F. Let's see. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1996, and that was the inaugural. He was arrested and on third-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter. He pled not guilty. Was found unfit to stand trial due to dementia, terminally ill with abdominal issues. His charges were dismissed 12 days before his death. So it's you know, kind of weird that, I mean, I don't know, how do the facts play out? How do you do that? I guess he had a default judgment against him. And he never paid them financially, but he was charged with murder, and then he was held unfit to whatever. Very strange. Anyway, I didn't want to get too much on wrestling. I just wanted to say that it was weird that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's not in the WWE Hall of Fame yet. He should be, but he's not in there yet. I don't know if it's a snub or if it's just not yet. Because there are Hall of Famers who are still wrestling, like Rey Mysterio and Edge. Let's see. What's the other thing I want to talk about? Let's see. People who've not, like, sports stars snubbed from their Hall of Fame. Because there's the argument of whether or not Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. Should Barry Bonds be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame? Let's see, is Roddy Piper in the WWE Hall of Fame? Yes, he is. 2005. Let's see, biggest snubs in sports history. But that's just everything. That's not that. See, I was such a Republican when my kids were little. We watched what they called Men Fight, and I'd want to make up weird crap to make them make them happy. Is Michael Jackson in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't know. Probably. Is Michael Jackson Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? 2001, Michael Jackson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a second time. He was inducted again as another two-timer. He was inducted as a member of the Jacksons in 1997, and then in 2001 he was inducted yet again. Let's see. 5 players who were snubbed for NFL Hall of Fame class 2022, but that's not necessarily overall. Hall of Fame worst one and done snubs in MLB history. The 4 Hall of Fame plaques, whatever, blah, 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 blah. These 10 players are the best to receive only 1 year of consideration before dropping off the ballot. 10 best players to go one and done. Jim Edmonds. Wow. Jim Edmonds was never quite as good defensively as his reputation. When he was on the Angels, he made lots of good catches, blah, blah, blah. but then he was out and he lost it. Willie Randolph, Reggie Smith.
Hey, can you take 2 seconds and spray me?
In a second, hold on.
I mean, I'll come in there if you turn your camera off.
All right. That's actually another thing I want to look up. I want to look up, is Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame? So they actually did induct Harold Baines into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, which is great because there was a big argument as to whether or not a designated hitter, someone who was purely a designated hitter, should be allowed into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Including, there's this one article here, MLB Hall of Fame selection is an embarrassment because they allowed Harold Baines into the Hall of Fame. But I disagree, because why would that be an embarrassment? His selection is indefensible, blah, blah, blah. Why? Like, I don't understand the some people are such baseball purists because they don't like the designated hitter at all. All right, I have to turn my camera off for a second. Hold on. Because I have to help my wife for a second. I'll be back in a second. It's off. Okay. You may come in so I can spray you with your medicine. Okay. Say hi to the world.
Hey. I'm like breaking out.
Oh, that's not good.
Get right here. See, my belly's all like...
Yeah. Your psoriasis is really being stupid.
You need that Florida water.
I know. One good thing about Florida is they have good water for your psoriasis.
Yeah.
They may have a shitty governor, but they have good water for their psoriasis. Let me get your side on the leg.
And this too.
Okay. There you
Thank
go.
you.
You're welcome. Say goodbye, Cakes. You're supposed to say goodbye, Cakes. There you go. Anyway, so loudest concert I've been to. What is the loudest concert that I've been to? I don't know. Rush is pretty darn loud. Especially like for the drum solo for Neil Peart. His drum solo is pretty loud. Anyway, I'm going to stop recording this part. We can continue talking about this, but also continue talking about it. Do. But yeah, are there people who are baseball purists who agree that Harold Baines and designated hitters don't belong in the Baseball Hall of Fame, or do not care? One of the more controversial ones on top of is Barry Bonds, because whether or not Barry Bonds belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Because he may never get in because of eligibility rules, but he hit his record 756th homer, and that ball is in the Hall of Fame, so his name is in the Hall of Fame. But you know, the thing is that Barry Bonds, before he was ever alleged of having taken performance enhancing steroids or whatever, he had a Hall of Fame career for the Pittsburgh Pirates well before then. So who knows? You know, like here's one of my things with baseball. Is like, did Barry Bonds get an advantage if he took anything? Like Michael McGuire maybe had an advantage because he was taking supplements that eventually became banned. But they weren't banned when he was playing, and he retired like when they became banned. So it was like, do you punish him because he was taking something that wasn't allowed? It doesn't make sense. Like, how do you punish somebody for? for taking something that was allowed. Ridiculous. How do you justify that? It doesn't make any sense to me. But there are people who were just not going to vote for anybody from the quote steroid era because they don't like the fact that people were taking, performance enhancing supplements to be able to help them hit the ball harder or whatever. But or heal faster or whatever. But baseball has done so many things to help people hit the ball harder, faster. They improved how the balls are made. They made it, shortening fences, pulling the first base back from the mound so they have more time to respond, making Major League Baseball parks that are home run friendly so you can hit more home runs. There's so many things that baseball has done specifically to favor the offense and to make it easier to hit home runs that you're going to blame a player for doing something to make it easier to hit home runs. So, I don't know. It's Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, MLB Hall of Fame. No, he's not. But probably because of the two sport thing, maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Is Deion Sanders in the NFL Hall of Fame? I think so. But Deion Sanders may have been more of a football player who happened to also play baseball instead of going both sports. So, yeah, Deion Sanders was the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the NFL, but he probably won't be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But one of the funny things about Deion Sanders, baseball-wise, and I love telling the story, is I used to hate Deion Sanders. I used to think he was just cocky, and I didn't like the cockiness. I thought it was just arrogant and rude and ridiculous. And there was an interview that somebody did, and it was published in a paper, and they asked him about why he swung so much as a leadoff hitter, because his job as a leadoff hitter is to get on base. So leadoff hitters typically want to walk. You want to draw a walk if you can, so you can get on base because you're fast. You want to be able to steal bases or whatever. So his response to the person who was interviewing him was like, it doesn't matter if I walk or get a hit to get on first base, because I'm going to steal second and then I'm going to steal third. And I was like, this cocky SOB. What the hell? What the hell is, he is ridiculous. I can't stand the arrogance of this guy. So someday later that week, I decide to go look in the paper, and I decide to go check the box score for the particular game that he was playing in. I look up Deion Sanders. He had 2 hits in 4 at-bats. No walks. No extra base hits, which means he had no doubles, no triples, no home runs. So it was 2 singles. So he got on first base twice. It was 2 for 4. He got on first base twice. 4 stolen bases. Which means both times that he got on first base, he stole second and he stole third. And I was like, you know what? He said he was going to do something, and he did it. I'm not going to be, I can't be mad at him, because it's not just cockiness, it's confidence. He said he was going to do something, and he freaking did it. And from that point on, I was like, you know what? I got to respect him, because he knows his ability, and he's not shying away from his ability. And maybe that's fine, as long as you're not rubbing it in people's faces. There's no reason get all up with people and be showing off to them. But if you're just say, hey, I know I'm a talented person, and this is what I'm going to do, and I do it, why not? Why not be bold? He was bold. He took the risk of boldness, and it paid off. So they go, hey, Kimchi, what's going on? Good to see you. Have I ever heard the Smoking Armadillo's version of Woolly Swamp? I can't say that I have. Not sure though. Let's see, what are we at? We're 10 hours. We're 2 hours and 26 minutes in to the show. Do another show break. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. liberaldanradio.com to get to the YouTube channel. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so to support the show. Best things you could do is to get other people to subscribe, share videos, comment on videos, like videos, respond to other people's comments, and most importantly, just put on other videos when you're going to sleep and just let them play. Not playlists, apparently, because I think playlists only count the first one, so it doesn't matter if you put in a playlist or not. So it's better to play like one 3-hour video than a playlist that has like 25-minute videos, supposedly. So, yeah, it is what it is. And the reason I'm not doing it is what it is on Blog Talk Radio, because Blog Talk Radio is broken right now. So I can't play Blog Talk Radio bits at the moment, unfortunately, because, you know, it is what it is. So, wow, Seahawks just beat the Eagles. Damn. Interesting. It's been an interesting football week, especially because the Falcons lost to the Panthers. That's hilarious as a Saints fan. Anyway, so we're at 73 views times 41 average duration, which is almost 3,000 minutes, divided by 60. So we are at 50 minutes. We are basically almost at 50 hours of watch time at the moment, which is great, which is cool. I don't know how much we're losing from the rolling average, but we are at 80 something. So hopefully by the end, hopefully we're not dropping anything too much, and hopefully we gained 50 towards the 3,000 that we need, and hopefully we'll be needing 30 or something. I don't know. Quick Check says Bo Jackson is in NFL Hall of Fame, but is in College Hall of Fame. That makes sense. That tracks. Kimchi, you didn't puff pass. I'm gonna cry. My thing with Seattle is I do not like whiny Pete Carroll. I do not like whiny Pete Carroll. And since whiny Pete Carroll is still the coach, I mean, I'm a Saints fan through and through. So, and then if there's any other team that I'm going to root for, typically if it's not the Saints, it's going to be the Ravens because I'm originally from Baltimore. But I can't see myself ever rooting for a Pete Carroll team because, like, back in the day, like, it was before Katrina. It was probably like 2000. Whenever it was that LSU won the AP National Championship back before they had the National Championship, but then they had the AP who awarded their own National Championship too or whatever. That ridiculousness. And so LSU wins the title, wins the National Championship, and then Pete Carroll, when he was in head of the Trojans or whatever, was like, well, I think we have a share of the national championship. I'm like, no, you don't. That's not the rules you agreed to play by. So if that's not the rules that you agreed to play by, it doesn't matter if the AP says that you're the best. Those are the rules you agreed to play by. So shut up. You're not the national champion. Be quiet. Those may be fighting words. What? Because I'm calling him whiny Pete, or the fact that the Trojans were not the national champions that year. So, national champs. Pete Carroll claims share. When was that? Was that 2001? 2002? Southeastern Conference. The most absurd and controversial national title claims in college football history. Let's see. The little engine that couldn't. The last great debate. It's 2000. I was 2 years off. 2003. The BCS system worked well enough in its first 5 years of its existence, but 2003 gave college football its first push towards the playoff and its truly split championship because they were in the BCS at the time. LSU won the SEC, earning a decisive number 1 ranking at the season's end spot in the BCS championship game. The question was who deserved the number 2 spot. USC's lone loss was a triple overtime thriller against Cal, but the Trojans had opened the season 8th in the polls and were playing catch-up most of the year. Oklahoma, meanwhile, went wire to wire as the top team in the country, only to fall to Kansas in the Big 12 championship game 35-7. Despite the embarrassing upset, Oklahoma held strong with the BCS computer algorithms and retained its number 1 ranking, getting the title game bid over USC, which topped both the Associated Press and coaches' polls. The BCS system is what it is, Coach Pete Carroll said at the time, but obviously there's some kind of problem because the number 1 team in the country isn't playing in that game. Turns out Carroll and the voters knew a bit more than the computers did, with USC toppling Michigan in the Rose Bowl, Oklahoma failing again to LSU in the Sugar Bowl. Tigers won the BCS title, the coaches' poll, and USC claimed the AP crown. So, but everybody in college football agreed to go by the BCS. So it doesn't matter what the AP says, they're going by the BCS. So it's like, it would be like the AP saying in 2020, well, we think Donald Trump should be is president. It's as ridiculous as everybody who says that Donald Trump is president. No, Joe Biden is president because he won the Electoral College. Doesn't matter what else happened. Or it's like anybody who says that they're the president because they won the popular vote. No, it doesn't matter because that's not how we pick presidents. We might want to pick presidents that way, but that's not how we do it at the time. So, wow, liberal. I'm not really an LSU fan. It just bugged me the wrong way. And yes, I can hold a grudge. That's not the grudge that I hold, though. The grudge that I hold was was it the 95 or the 96 playoffs for Baltimore? Jeffrey Mayer. 10-9-1996, when Derek Jeter was said to have hit a home run in Game 1 of the ALCS. Jeffrey Mayer reaches out into play, catches the ball. Tarasco is underneath. This is not in here, but I'm remembering Tarasco, the name, because it's ingrained in my memory. Had the ball caught, except for the fact that Jeffrey Mayer reached into play. It should have been ruled fan interference, but the umpire called it a home run because there was no review at the time. They had to go by what the umpire said, and the Yankees went on to win the ALCS instead of the Orioles, who should have won the ALCS that year. It was just a complete gut bust. Wind knocking out of, momentum changing, or the Orioles probably would have won that game and might have won the series because of that, but because they didn't win that game because they were given a stupid home run, and I hold a grudge about Jeffrey Mayer to this very day. So abso-freaking-lutely I'll hold a grudge. So there are some other people I hold grudges against. There's the boss. 2 bosses that I still hold a grudge against. One at Pat O'Brien's, one at a hospital that I worked at. Both of them were before Katrina. Pat O'Brien's was 1997. The boss right before Katrina was, or maybe it was like 2003 when I worked for that boss. So around the same time. So there are a couple people I hold grudges against. Bye, Marie. Good to see you. If you think I hold a grudge, my wife holds a grudge much worse than I do. So, yeah. My wife will definitely hold a grudge much longer than I do. But, or she'll hold a grudge much more quickly, I think, than I do. And I will hold on to the grudge, because I've held on to those grudges, but, yeah. But that little 12-year-old kid getting cheered by all those fans just pissed off everybody. I mean, you had a whole bunch of people being mad at that one guy. Was it the Cubs? Forever and a day. I mean, that was a grudge too, right? The movie, The Grudge. Any grudges I have are out of my life forever. You don't get another chance if you screw me over. I mean, but there's like silly little grudges, like some bad players, like back when we had the Hornets, and there was a Hornet player, and my wife just couldn't stand this one player, and it didn't matter what he did for a while, and she just wouldn't let. She was just like, "Oh, I hate him. I can't stand him." Except one time, he finally I think it was Jason Smith was his name. And there was one game where he blocked Kevin Durant like twice. It was ridiculous, like how he played. And she was like, "All right, fine, I'll get over it." And I was like, "Wow, okay, cool." But yeah, but no, if you screw me over, absolutely. You know, I think there's a difference between grudges and just yeeting people from my life. I mean, like, there are some people who have yeeted from my life who I don't necessarily call that a grudge. I think it's more serious than a grudge. Like, done. Like, just done from my life. Several people. Just done. No more. No mas. Not gonna put up with that BS anymore. But, you know, it is what it is. Fortunately, I can't play that because I still can't connect into Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
See if they let me do it in. Just because I'm curious. You gonna let me do it? No.
To start.
Ah! I hit the wrong thing. Or I hit the thing. It took too long. I'm still very upset at him, even though Alex Gonzalez, the very next pitch, booted a courtesy hop double play ball. Alright, let's try this again. I was too antsy. Let's see, Bill, I held grudges and was a former guy I grudged was dead 3 years. He won that one. Let's see. Let's see if this does it this time. I'm just curious. It's fun. But I'm not the type of person who's going to be like, I forgive people. No, F that. If you screw me over, you're not getting forgiven. Not one bit. Let's see. Yes, it makes me feel bad then, IMO. Wait, Jeff, you're done? Why are you done? Alright, this is not working. Blog Talk Radio sucks. Good thing I don't pay for it. Can't believe we had a whole debate on COVID still. How freaking long are we going to have this damn debate over COVID? Probably for freaking ever. But, like, again, just like, I don't understand. Like, again, people don't see how bad Donald Trump was. And it's the whole thing with the election coming up. Like, you have the election coming up, and people think that Donald Trump's somehow going to be better than Biden for some whatever reason. F no. It's dumb. Good night, Big Hook. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. I think I'm actually getting a little tired as well. I think I'm about ready to tap out, simply just because of the fact that I'm still tired from the drive yesterday. I would like to make it a full 3 hours. But we've got 80 views at 42 minutes, which should be good. Should be helpful towards the whole thing. We'll we'll try and do a whole 3 hours maybe on Wednesday. We'll see. I have to upload some of these other videos and maybe get them live tomorrow, just the ones that I clipped or whatever. So can't do the show end because that's not going to play. I don't think it's going to play. Will it? We'll see. Probably not. What if I have it on here that I can do it? Let's see. Show start. I want show start. Audio. Full shows. No. Nope. Don't seem to have that clip. So doesn't look like it's gonna play. I do hold a grudge against my mother. Just can't seem to not hate her guts. Sorry. No, I mean it's perfectly reasonable. When family members, when they hurt you, can hurt the most, and I understand that completely. Anyway, so this is the end of today's episode of Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left. That's right. Just remember, if you haven't liked, if you haven't shared. If you haven't subscribe. Just try and just put on a video when you go to bed tonight and let it play. Find a long one from the live tab, let it play, maybe one you haven't watched before, and just let's see if we can kick it up a notch and get the final watch hours done so I can wake up tomorrow morning and apply and get that partner status solidified in. But other than that, if you want to join me for tomorrow on Tuesday, I need to make a Little Mermaid thing for Disney Dreamlight Valley, which might be fun to watch if you're into that sort of thing. Otherwise, I'll be back on Wednesday. I may want to talk about maybe a potential true crime / disappearance thing of a Disney artist. If that might be intriguing to talk about, I don't know. But I do want to do a little bit more research into it because it's something that me and my wife just found out about this weekend, and it's very weird, and maybe it would be something to be compelling to talk about. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that is, but I'll do a little more research on it, and then we'll find out how that will go, and maybe that'll be at least one of the topics we talk about on Wednesday. Until then, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.